from domestic and foreign reporters. Mr. Grosset, please continue.
You mean I can continue now?
Yes, please.
Yes, no. So I was telling you that, first of all, I agree very much with what has been said.
All right, Mr. Grosset, I'm sorry to cut you off. We'll pick up the discussion after the press conference. The press conference is now getting underway. That's China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi getting ready to address the press.
So, welcome, State Councilor Wang Yi. The floor is yours.
Friends from the media, good afternoon. This year's press conference is held at a special time as countries around the world are battling COVID-19. I wish to take this opportunity to salute health workers worldwide who are doing their best to save lives and to mourn the lives tragically lost. I'd also like to say thank you to all the governments and nations who have given understanding, care and assistance to China in its COVID-19 response. The virus cannot defeat humanity. We will eventually prevail. The darkest hour will pass. Looking ahead, we can see light and hope. With these words, I'm happy to open the floor for questions.
请北区第二排第一位女士提问，谢谢。
谢谢主持人，王国伟您好，我是人民日报社记者。今年这场疫情席卷全球，各国都在以各自的方式来抗击和应对疫情，同时这场疫情也引发了我们的一些思考。那么在您看来，我们能从这场疫情中获得一些什么样的启示？什么启示是最重要的？谢谢您。
With people's daily, as COVID-19 sweeps the world, countries are responding in different ways. A lot can be learned from our responses to COVID-19. What, in your view, is the most important thing to be learned?
In my view, the most important thing we could learn from COVID-19 is that the life and health of people in different countries have never been so closely connected. Also, it has never been made so clear to us that all nations live in the same global village, and that humanity is in fact a community with a shared future. The virus respects no borders or races. It poses a challenge to all humans without distinction. Political manipulation will give the virus loopholes to exploit. A beggar-thy-neighbor approach will leave each of us more vulnerable. Rejection of science will allow the virus to wreak greater havoc. With this in mind, President Xi Jinping has made the case to the world time and again that the virus is a common enemy of mankind, and that the only way to defeat it is to pull together with solidarity and cooperation, which are the most effective weapons against the virus. Having claimed so many precious lives, COVID-19 serves as a stark reminder that countries must rise above differences in geography, race, history, culture, and social system. We must work together for the community with a shared future and jointly preserve planet Earth, the only home we have. One important goal in this regard is to speed up efforts to build a global community of health for all. As a responsible country, China will contribute its share to the realization of this goal.
南区第二排中间 CGTN。
Thank you for taking the question. I'm Jonathan Betts with CGTN. Relations between China and the United States have grown increasingly strained. A recent survey shows that a number of Americans view China favorably has hit a low. A lot of people are very concerned that the two countries are moving in the direction of growing further apart and that tensions could possibly escalate to the point of conflict. What is your take? How concerned are you that relations with the United States could further deteriorate? Thank you.
中国国际电视台记者， 中美关系日益紧张。民调显示，美国民众对华好感度跌至历史新低。有人担心中美会加速脱钩，甚至爆发冲突。您对此怎么看？是否担心中美关系进一步恶化
？CGTN 是一个国际性的一个频道。
CGTN is an international news outlet. We welcome more foreign friends to join CGTN. The China-US relationship is under the spotlight at every year's press conference. But let me begin with the COVID-19 situation. The US has become the worst affected country. With every day that passes, many innocent lives are taken by the virus. I would like to express deep sympathy for what the American people are going through, and our sincere hope and best wishes that they will defeat the virus and resume normal life and work soon. COVID-19 is a common enemy for China and the US. Mutual support and assistance are the shared preference of our two peoples. Early on in China's response, many American organizations, companies, and citizens extended a helping hand to China. When the US was hit by the virus, the government, local authorities, and people of China reciprocated their kindness, generously donating large quantities of needed supplies. We also supported and facilitated US procurement of medical supplies in China. Take face masks, for example. More than 11 billion masks have been exported to the US, which means 40 masks for every American. It's most regrettable that while the coronavirus is still out there, a political virus is also spreading in the US and jumping at any opportunity to attack and slander China. Some politicians ignore the basic facts and make up countless lies and conspiracy theories concerning China. A list of these lies has been compiled and debunked online. New lies will be added to that list. The longer the list, the more it says about how low the rumor mongers are willing to go, and the more stains they will leave in history. I call on the US side to stop wasting precious time and stop costing people's lives. China and the US need to work together on a number of urgent things. First, we may share our experience and learn from each other's best practices to bolster our respective responses to COVID-19. Second, we must do what the world expects of us, jointly participating and advance multilateral cooperation against COVID-19 and make active contributions to the global response. Third, while getting prepared for the long fight against COVID-19 and maintaining our ongoing response, we must start to communicate and coordinate our macro policies to mitigate the impact of COVID-19 on our economies and the world economy. As for where we are and where we need to be in China-US relations, our position is consistent. As the largest developing country and the largest developed country, China and the US shoulder great responsibilities for global peace and development. It is imperative for us to seriously and properly handle our relations out of a strong sense of responsibility to humanity, to history, and to our peoples. Both China and the US stand to gain from cooperation and lose from confrontation. This best captures what we have learned, positive and otherwise, from the past decades. Both sides should take this lesson to heart. China and the US have different social systems, but this is a result of the different choices made by our people, which we must respect. It's also true that we have many disagreements, but that doesn't preclude cooperation. When you think about the challenges facing today's world, almost all of them require coordination between China and the US. China remains prepared to work with the US in a spirit of no conflict or confrontation, mutual respect, and win-win cooperation, and build a relationship based on coordination, cooperation, and stability. At the same time, China will defend its sovereignty and territorial integrity, its legitimate right to development, and its dignity and place in the world which the Chinese people have worked so hard to earn. China has no intention to change, still less replace the US. It's time for the US to give up its wishful thinking of changing China or stopping 1.4 billion people's historic march toward modernization. It has come to our attention that some political forces in the US are taking China-US relations hostage and pushing our two countries to the brink of a new Cold War. This dangerous attempt to turn back the wheel of history will undo the fruits of decades-long China-US cooperation, dampen America's own development prospects, and put world stability and prosperity in jeopardy. People with wisdom and foresight on both sides must step forward and stop it. In short, for the fundamental and long-term interests of the Chinese and American people and the well-being and future of humanity, China and the US should and must find a way of peaceful coexistence and mutually beneficial cooperation, demonstrating that this is possible between two countries with different systems and cultures.
请南区第一排第一位女士提问，谢谢。
谢谢主持人，王国伟您好，我是新华社记者。新冠肺炎疫情正在深刻改变世界，全球化有可能逆转，世界已经回不到过去。请问中方如何看待后疫情世界和全球化的未来？谢谢。
Xinhua News Agency. COVID-19 is changing the world in fundamental ways. The gains of globalization may be reversed, and the world may never be the same again. How does China view the post-COVID-19 world and the future of globalization?
世界当然回不到过去。
The world will certainly not be the same again. History always moves forward. Throughout world history, humanity has progressed by wrestling with one disaster after another. In China's view, if countries make the right choice and stay on the right path, the world will triumph over the virus and embrace a brighter future. What is the right choice and path? First, globalization needs to be more inclusive and beneficial to all. Globalization represents an inevitable trend in the development of the world and a strong tide driving human progress. It has turned the global economy into an ocean to which every river flows. It's simply not possible to channel the water in the ocean back into isolated lakes. Likewise, attempts to reject globalization and fall back on protectionism will have no future. Even as we continue to maximize cost efficiency through optimizing global allocation of resources, we must pay more attention to addressing the issues that have accompanied globalization, such as the widening wealth gap and regional imbalances. The solution lies in the further advancement of globalization. This requires us to steer globalization in the right direction. In early 2017, President Xi Jinping gave a speech in Davos in which he comprehensively laid out China's views on economic globalization and called for making it more open, inclusive, balanced, and beneficial to all. 3 years on, his words are more relevant and inspiring than ever. Second, multilateralism must be safeguarded and promoted even more firmly. COVID-19 drives home once again that no country, no matter how strong it is, can insulate itself from a global challenge. When a disaster wreaks havoc, watching from an apparently safe distance and sitting idle will eventually backfire. Pointing fingers at others will only end up damaging one's own reputation. Self-conceit and blame-shifting, instead of helping any country solve its problems, will only hurt other countries' legitimate rights and interests. In the face of mounting global challenges, only multilateralism can bring the world together. And only solidarity can see us through the current difficulties. Third, global governance needs to be reformed and improved where it is most lacking. COVID-19 has exposed weaknesses in national public health systems, the fragility of the global industrial and supply chains, and deficiencies in our global governance capacity and system. It calls for urgent improvement and reform of global governance. The United Nations must play a central role. WHO and other UN specialized agencies must be able to perform their mandates without hindrance. All countries must intensify macro policy coordination where appropriate and strengthen governance capacity. And we must redouble our commitment to international law and the basic norms of international relations. The world will never be the same again, and China will never stop moving forward. COVID-19 has been an all-round test on China's social system and governance capacity. China has stood the test, displayed its composite national strength, and shown itself to be a responsible major country. After COVID-19, our economy will emerge stronger and more resilient, our people more united and confident in socialism with Chinese characteristics, and our nation more unstoppable in its march toward rejuvenation.
好，请继续提问。北区第一排中间，今日俄罗斯然娜。
谢谢主持人。今日俄罗斯国际通讯社记者提问：疫情发生以来，中俄两国虽自个遇到一些困难，但是始终相互帮助和支持。请问您如何评价疫情发生以来的中俄关系？在您看来，中俄关系发展是否经受住了疫情的考验？另外，外界有猜测认为，中国和俄罗斯将联手挑战美国的领先地位，您是否认同这种说法？谢谢。
RIA Novosti. China and Russia have both had difficult moments in fighting COVID-19, but the two countries have rendered each other help and support. How do you assess the China-Russia relations during this period? Has this relationship stood the test? There are speculations that China and Russia may join forces to challenge U.S. predominance. Do you agree with this characterization?
While closely following the COVID-19 response in Russia, we have done and will continue to do everything we can to support it. I believe, under the leadership of President Vladimir Putin, the indomitable Russian people will defeat the virus, and the great Russian nation will emerge from the challenge with renewed vigor and vitality. Since the start of COVID-19, President Xi Jinping and President Putin have had several phone calls and kept the closest contact and high level of strategic communication between the two world leaders. Russia is the first country to have sent medical experts to China, and China has provided the most anti-epidemic assistance to Russia. Two-way trade has gone up despite COVID-19. Chinese imports from Russia have grown faster than imports from China's other major trading partners. The two countries have supported and defended each other against slanders and attacks coming from certain countries. Together, China and Russia have forged an impregnable fortress against the political virus and demonstrated the strength of China-Russia strategic coordination. I have no doubt that the two countries' joint response to the virus will give a strong boost to China-Russia relations after COVID-19. China is working with Russia to turn the crisis into an opportunity. We will do so by maintaining stable cooperation in energy and other traditional fields, holding a China-Russia year of scientific and technological innovation, and accelerating collaboration in e-commerce, biomedicine, and the cloud economy to make them new engines of growth in our post-COVID-19 economic recovery. China and Russia will also enhance strategic coordination. By marking the 75th anniversary of the UN, we stand ready to firmly protect our victory in World War II, uphold the UN Charter and basic norms of international relations, and oppose any form of unilateralism and bullying. We will enhance cooperation and coordination in the UN, SCO, BRICS, and G20 to prepare ourselves for a new round of the once-in-a-century change shaping today's world. I believe that with China and Russia standing shoulder to shoulder and working back to back, the world will be a safer and more stable place where justice and fairness are truly upheld. Thank you.
请继续提问。请北区第4排第3位男士。
谢谢中国日报提问。中国目前已经成功控制了新冠疫情的传播，正在向许多国家提供抗疫的支持和帮助，但也有质疑认为中国的这种帮助是有企图的。请问王国伟，您如何回应这种质疑？谢谢。
China Daily. China has brought COVID-19 under effective control. It is now providing support and assistance to many countries. But questions have been raised about the intention behind such assistance. What is your comment?
At
the height of China's battle with COVID-19, we received assistance and support from across the world. This is something we will always cherish and be grateful for. To put into action President Xi Jinping's vision of community with a shared future for mankind, we have in the last few months launched the largest global humanitarian operation in the history of the People's Republic. To date, we have shipped medical supplies to nearly 150 countries and 4 international organizations to meet their immediate needs. We have held video conferences with experts from over 170 countries to share our proven protocols of diagnosis, treatment, and control without any reservation. We have sent 26 expert teams to 24 countries to provide timely information and in-person guidance. Our factories have operated at full capacity to make high-quality medical supplies that are badly needed around the world. Including 56.8 billion surgical masks and 250 million protective gowns exported to other countries, among other provisions. China has done all this because, first and foremost, we Chinese are a grateful nation. We are always ready to reciprocate acts of friendship and kindness from others. Moreover, China is always willing and ready to help others. When our friends are in distress, we never sit by and do nothing. A case in point is our assistance to Africa during the Ebola epidemic. While some countries evacuated their personnel from the affected areas, China rushed to Africa's aid, despite risks of infection, sending in medical teams and badly needed supplies, and fighting alongside our African brothers and sisters until victory was declared. The COVID-19 assistance from China may not cover the needs of all affected countries. We're also aware that some political forces are mischaracterizing our intention. But we have done everything in the open, and we have a clear conscience. Nothing we do is out of geopolitical calculation or in pursuit of economic gains or with any political strings attached. In providing assistance, we have but one goal, that is to save as many lives as possible. We have but one belief, that is, one country's success does not mean the end of the global pandemic. It's only when the virus is defeated in all countries can we claim a true victory. The virus is still raging in many places. China is not a savior, but we try to be a friend in need, a sincere partner you can count on in times of difficulty. We will continue to help the countries in distress to the best of our ability, pursue more international cooperation, and fight alongside others until final worldwide victory can be declared against COVID-19.
南区第一排，路透社。
Thank you. From Reuters. China's decision to press ahead with the national security legislation for Hong Kong has rattled markets and provoked threats of retaliation from the US, including the possible removal of Hong Kong's special trade status. Is China concerned that Hong Kong's position as a global financial hub could be undermined? And what will China do to preserve investor confidence in Hong Kong? Thank you.
路透社，中国决定推进香港国家安全立法，这震动了市场，可能导致美国采取报复措施，包括取消香港特殊贸易地位。这引发了人们对其未来作为全球金融中心的担忧。中方是否担心香港作为全球金融中心的地位会因此受到损害？中方将如何维护投资者对香港的信心？
这件事情目前引起了各方的关注。
This matter has caught attention from many quarters.
中央主管的部门已经就此清晰地表明了我
But
们的立场。
the competent central authorities have clearly stated China's position.
发表了支持的声明。
And the Hong Kong SAR government has issued a statement in support of that position. And the NPC deputies and members of the CPPCC National Committee from Hong Kong have also clearly voiced their support. But now that you've asked about it, let me make clear certain things. First of all, Hong Kong affairs are China's internal affairs and allows no external interference. Non-interference, as a basic norm of international relations, must be observed by all countries. Second, the central government is responsible for upholding national security in China, as is the case in any other country. Through Article 23 of the Basic Law, the central government authorizes the Hong Kong SAR to fulfill its constitutional responsibility by enacting laws on its own. The authorization, however, does not prevent the central government from establishing a legal system and enforcement mechanisms for safeguarding national security in light of the actual situation and needs. The central government holds the primary and ultimate responsibility for national security in all subnational administrative regions. This is a basic theory and practice underpinning national sovereignty, and a common practice in countries around the globe. Third, since the turbulence over proposed legislative amendments last June, we have seen increasingly rampant activities by Hong Kong independence organizations and radical localists in Hong Kong, escalating violence and terrorist activities, as well as excessive unlawful foreign meddling in Hong Kong affairs. All this has placed national security in serious jeopardy and posed a grave threat to Hong Kong's prosperity and stability and the practice of one country, two systems. Under such circumstances, establishing a legal system and enforcement mechanisms for safeguarding national security in the Hong Kong SAR has become a pressing priority. We must get it done without the slightest delay. Fourth, the NPC decision targets a very narrow category of acts that seriously jeopardize national security and has no impact on Hong Kong's high degree of autonomy, the rights and freedoms of Hong Kong residents, or the legitimate rights and interests of foreign investors in Hong Kong. Instead of becoming unnecessarily worried, people should have more confidence in Hong Kong's future. A legislative process will be set in motion following the adoption of the NPC decision. This will improve Hong Kong's legal system and bring more stability, stronger rule of law, and a better business environment to Hong Kong. It will protect the basic principle of one country, two systems, and Hong Kong's position as a global financial, trading, and shipping center. I trust that it will receive understanding and support from all those who wish to see a stable Hong Kong and the sound and sustained implementation of one country, two systems.
请南区第3排第4位女士提问，谢谢。
谢谢主持人，我是香港凤凰卫视、凤凰网、凤凰秀的记者。我们想关注中方怎么回应美国指责中国要对疫情全球大流行负责。那么中方是否同意就病毒的源头问题开展国际独立调查？谢谢。
Phoenix TV, how do you answer the U.S. accusation that China should take the responsibility for the pandemic? Would China agree to an independent international investigation into the source of the virus?
Regarding the source of the virus, the difference between China and some US politicians is as wide as that between facts and lies, between science and prejudice. Source tracing is a serious and complex issue of science. It should be studied by scientists and medical experts. Some American politicians have rushed to attach a geopolitical label to the virus, politicize its source, and stigmatize China. They have both overestimated their own ability to spread disinformation and underestimated others' ability to tell right from wrong. History should be written with facts, not tainted by lies. The global narrative about COVID-19 should reflect reason and conscience. Humanity has no obligation to leave behind an objective and truthful account as part of its collective memory. China is open to joint efforts by the international science community to identify the source of the virus. Importantly, it must be a professional, impartial, and constructive process. Professional means being based on science and led by WHO, and letting scientists and medical experts research the issue worldwide. The goal is to help us better understand this kind of virus and deal more effectively with major infectious diseases in the future. Impartial means being free from political interference, respecting the sovereign equality of nations, and avoiding a presumption of guilt. All countries closely related to the virus should be covered by the field missions. The whole process should be open, transparent, objective, and rational. Constructive means not hampering the work of saving lives, which clearly must be our top priority at the moment. Not jeopardizing international cooperation against COVID-19 and not undermining the statutory role of WHO. Instead, we should bolster the ability of the UN system to perform its mandate, strengthen international solidarity and cooperation, and improve the system and capacity for global governance in the area of public health.
北区第3排靠走廊，埃菲社随风。
Good afternoon. I'm Javier Garcia from the Spanish news agency EFE. This year marks the 45th anniversary of China and European Union diplomatic ties. Since the outbreak of the pandemic, there have been mainly two voices among the European countries. One perhaps is grateful for China's support and assistance, but other doubts China could use foreign aid to make political propaganda. And even some think China is Europe's systemic rival, like the European Commission said last year. What do you think about this? And what could China do to demonstrate Europe it's not its rival? Thank you very much.
埃菲社，今年是中国欧盟建交45周年。新冠疫情爆发之后，欧洲国家出现两种声音，一个是对中国的援助和支持表示感激，另一个是质疑中国利用对外援助进行政治宣传，甚至有人将中国视为欧洲的系统性对手。中方对此有何评论？中方将采取何种行动来证明它不是欧盟的对手？
中欧关系历经国际风云变幻，总
Despite
体
all the changes going on in the world, the relationship between China and the EU continues to be defined by cooperation and demonstrates great potential.
双方
This is the first thing I want to make clear. The most important thing we have learned from the past 45 years is this. China and the EU are fully capable of building trust through equal-footed dialogue and resolving differences through constructive communication. Between China and the EU, there is no fundamental conflict of interests, but ever greater room for mutually beneficial cooperation and extensive consensus on supporting multilateralism. For the advancement of human progress, China and the EU must remain each other's comprehensive strategic partners and not become systemic rivals. Our interaction should be a positive cycle that enables our mutual success, not a knockout match which results in only one winner. As a European proverb goes, true friends never give up on each other. In the wake of COVID-19, China and Europe have given each other strong support, illustrated by many touching stories. We believe that COVID-19 is an unprecedented crisis. It requires us to rise above ideological differences, dispel self-fulfilling suspicions, and send a common message of solidarity and cooperation. COVID-19 has affected the important diplomatic agenda between China and Europe set for this year, but only to some extent. Discussion is underway on holding the 22nd China-EU summit and other high-level events as early as possible. We are also actively exploring the possibility of holding a special China-EU summit when appropriate. We are working to wrap up negotiations on the China-EU investment agreement within this year and expand mutually beneficial cooperation in new areas such as connectivity, the environment, the digital economy, and artificial intelligence. The 45th anniversary of China-EU relations affords the two sides an opportunity to build a more stable, mature, productive, and substantive relationship. Thank you.
请北区第一排第一位男士提问，谢谢。
谢谢主持人。国伟您好，我是环球时报环球网的记者。我们注意到，最近一段时间，美国已经有多起就疫情对中国追责的诉讼，其他几个国家也有类似的诉讼，所以想请问王国伟，中方打算如何应对这些诉讼？另外呢，考虑到美国国内对中国追责的声音呢比较强烈，所以呢，想问中方是否会担忧美国会没收中国在美资产作为补偿？谢谢。
Global Times. Multiple lawsuits have been filed in the US, along with similar ones in several other countries, asking for compensation from China as a result of COVID-19. How will China respond? Given the clamor in the US for holding China accountable, are you concerned about the possibility of Chinese assets being seized?
这些针对中国的所谓滥诉啊，
The attempt to file frivolous lawsuits
没有法律依据，
is a shoddy
没
one,
有国际
as it has zero basis
是
in
彻头
fact,
彻尾的三无
law,
产品。
or international precedents.
在这场突如其来的疫情当中，
COVID-19 has caught the whole world by surprise. China, like other countries, is a victim.
面对未知的新型病毒，
Confronted by an unknown virus,
以对
we
人
have
民的
acted responsibly
健康和生
to
命
protect people's life and
和
health
全球的
and
公共卫
safeguard
生事业
global
高度负责
public health.
我们最早向世卫组织
China was the first country to report cases to WHO and promptly share information with relevant
我们最早
countries
确
and
定
regions,
病毒的基
the
因序
first
列
to sequence the genome of the virus and share
我们最
it
早向
with
世
the
界公布
world,
了
and the first to publish guidelines
方案。
for treatment and containment.
面对严峻的防控形
Once
势，
we sensed the risk of
我们
human
以壮士
infection,
断腕的
we
决心，
made a tough
在最
decision
短的时间内
that cut off the route of transmission in the shortest
有效
possible
阻止
time
疫情的快速
and stopped the fast-spreading virus in its tracks.
付出了巨大代价。
All this was achieved at enormous cost and with huge
中国的
sacrifice.
抗疫行动
China's record of COVID-19 response is there for the world to
清清
see,
楚楚，
with a clear
事
timeline
实依据
and
一
solid
目了然
data that will stand the test of time
历史
and history.
对受害者鼓噪所
Some
谓
people
追
are
责
clamoring for so-called accountability and compensation from a victim of COVID-19, and they're fabricating so-called evidence for frivolous
也是对
lawsuits.
人类良知
These
的
people are trampling on international rule of law and betraying human conscience. Their action does not square with facts, stand up to
今天的中
reason,
国
or have any
已
legal
不是100年
foundation.
前的中国，
Today's China
今
is
天的世
not
界
what it used to
也
be
不是
100 years
100
ago,
年前的世界。
nor is the world anything like the one a century
想借
ago.
滥诉，侵
If
犯中国的
anybody
主权和
thought
尊
they
严，
could use some ludicrous lawsuits
中国
to
人民的
undermine China's
辛勤
sovereignty and dignity,
恐
or
怕是
deprive the Chinese people
白日做
of
梦，
their hard-won gains,
必
they'd be
将
daydreaming
自取其辱。
and bring disgrace to themselves.
请继续提问。北区第二排共同社竹内健二。
谢谢立边共同社。当前疫情在全球蔓延，国际关系持续动荡，但是东北亚秩序比较稳定。为了克服疫情，恢复世界经济的作用，备受期待。请问中方如何看待中日韩关系的发展？怎样推动后疫情时代的三国合作？今年内有没有中日领导的互访的可能性？谢谢。
With COVID-19 sweeping Kyodo News, with COVID-19 sweeping the world, international relations are upended. Northeast Asia, though, seems to be stable and is expected to play a key role in beating the virus and restarting the world economy. How do you see the future relations between China, Japan, and the Republic of Korea? How will you promote trilateral cooperation in the post-COVID-19 world? Is it possible for leaders of China and Japan to visit each other later this year?
中日韩三国，我们是一
China,
带水的友好
Japan,
近邻。
and the ROK are friendly neighbors separated only by a strip of water.
先后
The three countries have worked closely in responding to COVID-19. A special foreign ministers' video conference has taken place, followed by another one held by our health ministers. We're sharing information and coordinating containment measures and border management. Our close communication and coordination have proven effective in stemming the spread of COVID-19 in our region. The people of our three countries went to each other's aid and left many touching stories that give true meaning to the verses. Though we live in different lands, the same moon and sky make us one. And united by the same humanity, we forget our nationality. The three countries' joint response to COVID-19 is providing inspiration an example for the world. While we stay vigilant, our immediate and shared priority must shift to restoring economic growth. As the world's leading economies, China, Japan, and the ROK account for more than 1/5 of global GDP. We were among the first to bring COVID-19 under control and resume work and production. These efforts will contribute to regional economic recovery and to the stability of the global economy. First, we will forestall any resurgence of infections to consolidate the gains. Faced with ongoing risks from COVID-19, China, Japan, and the ROK need to continue to share information and experience and coordinate our collective response. We're intensifying research efforts on vaccine and drugs. We need to set up a regional emergency liaison mechanism and reserve of essential medical supplies. We need to also leverage the internet, big data, and other information technologies to upgrade the region's public health governance and emergency response capacity. Second, we will coordinate the resumption of work and production and stabilize our industrial and supply chains. While never lowering its guard, China is prepared to open fast tracks for the movement of people and green corridors for the flow of goods with the ROK and other countries, so that we can restore as much practical cooperation as possible and revitalize our respective and regional economic activities. Third, we will aim for the higher standard of regional economic cooperation in the post-COVID-19 era. Our three countries need to stay committed to multilateralism and free trade. We need to cut tariffs, reduce barriers, and open up markets to each other. More collaboration will be pursued on health and medical care, smart manufacturing, and 5G to turn them into new engines of economic growth. We will speed up trilateral free trade negotiations and work toward signing the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement within this year. To strengthen regional economic linkages, we will fully leverage regional mechanisms to forestall financial risks and make our economies more resilient. All in all, China is prepared to work with Japan, the ROK, and other countries in the region to completely defeat COVID-19 as soon as possible, restore economic vitality in East Asia, and promote development in our region and the world with Oriental wisdom and strength.
请继续提问。请南区第二排第二位男士提问，谢谢。
谢谢。中央广播电视总台央视记者提问：疫情改变了人们的生活和工作方式，对今年中国外交的议程肯定也会造成一些影响。我想请问，中国外交如何来适应疫情防控常态化？今年中国外交有什么亮点值得期待？谢谢。
China Central Television. COVID-19 has changed our way of life and work. It must have also affected China's diplomatic agenda in 2020. How will China's diplomacy adapt to the new normal of COVID-19 response? Anything in particular to watch for?
疫情为各国交往
COVID-19 may have pressed the pause button on the interactions between countries, but China's diplomacy has not paused for a moment. Despite COVID-19, China has engaged in what we call cloud diplomacy in the form of phone calls, correspondence, and video conferences. President Xi Jinping has personally led China's diplomatic efforts throughout this period. He has engaged with many world leaders and advanced international cooperation as a global statesman. To date, he has had phone calls or meetings with nearly 50 foreign leaders and heads of international organizations. He has attended the extraordinary G20 Leaders Summit and spoken at the opening of the World Health Assembly. In all his diplomatic engagements, he underscored China's unequivocal commitment to global solidarity and cooperation against COVID-19. Premier Li Keqiang has also spoken with foreign leaders by phone and attended a special ASEAN Plus 3 summit on COVID-19. I myself have had over 100 phone calls with foreign counterparts. China has held special foreign ministers' meetings with ASEAN members, Lantang Mekong countries, Japan and the ROK, BRICS countries, and SCO members. This year is of special significance in China's national rejuvenation. China's diplomatic service will adapt to the new normal of COVID-19 response, focus on 5 priorities, and create new highlights. First, we will make every effort to facilitate domestic development. Taking into account both domestic and international dynamics, we will leverage all the diplomatic resources at our disposal to support key national development strategies. We will work to keep the global production and supply chain stable after COVID-19, promote the liberalization and facilitation of trade and investment, and offset downward risks to the world economy. Second, we will firmly defend national interests. We will show more resolve and take more effective steps to safeguard China's sovereignty, security, and development interests, and forestall and foil all external attempts to interfere in China's internal affairs. Third, we will build stronger partnerships. We will seek steady progress in our relations with other major countries, expand the convergence of interests with our neighbors, and reinforce solidarity and friendship with fellow developing countries. Fourth, we will firmly uphold multilateralism. We will focus on enhancing global public health governance, support WHO in playing its due role in the global COVID-19 response, and garner efforts to build a global community of health for all. Fifth, we will actively expand international cooperation. We propose to set up joint COVID-19 response mechanisms with more countries for more effective cooperation against the virus. We will also push forward health cooperation under the Belt and Road Initiative to strengthen global preparedness against epidemics.
好，请继续提问。北区第4排靠中间走廊，埃及中东通讯社。
Middle East News Agency. African countries provided support to China when it was at a difficult phase in pandemic response. Now, Africa is facing a severe situation. How China will help African countries to fight against COVID-19, and will China reduce the debt for the African countries? Thank you.
埃及中东通讯社。 非洲国家在中国抗疫最艰难的时刻，向中国提供了支持。目前，非洲疫情形势严峻，中方将如何帮助非洲抗击疫情？是否会减免非洲国家的债务？
非洲同中国是
China and Africa are good brothers who have shared real and world together. Our people, having fought shoulder to shoulder for national liberation, are partners for common development. A few years back, we were together fighting Ebola. I fully agree with the AU Commission chairperson in saying that Africa and China are friends and, more importantly, comrades in arms. Nothing can change or damage this friendship. In the battle against COVID-19, China and Africa have again stood by each other. Over 50 African leaders have expressed solidarity and support in phone calls or public statements. China has subsequently sent medical expert teams to Africa's 5 sub-regions and surrounding countries. Resident Chinese medical teams based in 45 African countries have acted swiftly to assist in the local response. They have held nearly 400 training sessions for tens of thousands of African medical workers. We also look after the African community in China, just like we take care of our own families. All of the over 3,000 African students in Hubei and Wuhan have been safe and sound, except for just one, who got infected but was soon cured.
今年是中非合作论坛成立
This year marks the 20th anniversary of the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation. China's relations with Africa have stood the test of time and continue to flourish.
物资援助。
We will continue to stand by Africa as it fights the virus. We will send anti-epidemic assistance to African and other developing countries as a matter of priority. We are considering sending more medical expert teams to the continent. China will continue to deliver on the health initiative announced at the FOCAC Beijing Summit. We will accelerate construction of the headquarters for the Africa CDC and help boost public health capacity in African nations. In addition, China will continue to work with Africa on development capacity building. We will work out ways to move ahead with major ongoing cooperation projects and support African countries in reopening businesses soon to sustain Africa's economic momentum. We will work with other G20 members to implement the debt service suspension initiative to ease Africa's debt burden. We're also considering further bilateral support for African countries under the greatest strain to help our African brothers and sisters through this difficult time. To quote a Chinese saying, when brothers are of the same mind, they have the power to cut through metal. We're convinced that with help from China and the rest of the global community, the youthful continent of Africa will achieve greater and faster development after defeating COVID-19.
请北区第4排第1位女士提问，谢谢。
谢谢主持人。中央广播电视总台央广记者提问：那么，尽管受到疫情的冲击，但中方强调有信心打赢脱贫攻坚战，全面建成小康社会。想请问王国伟，在这个过程中，为实现上述目标，中国外交将发挥怎样的作用？谢谢。
China National Radio. In spite of the serious impact from COVID-19, the Chinese government has often reiterated its confidence in winning the battle against poverty and achieving moderate prosperity in all respects. How can China's foreign policy and foreign service contribute to the realization of these goals?
Achieving moderate prosperity in all respects is a centenary goal of China, and eliminating extreme poverty has been our nation's dream for thousands of years. The entire Chinese nation are working doubly hard to accomplish these two historic goals this year. All members of China's diplomatic service are duty-bound to contribute their share. While the completion of these two tasks mainly depends on China's own efforts, securing an enabling international environment is also important. Right now, the COVID-19 pandemic presents the greatest external complication and challenge to China's development. To better facilitate domestic development, we in the diplomatic service must adapt to the new realities and think out of the box to solve new problems. We will strive to minimize the pandemic's impact on our people's life and health and on China's economic and social development. We will look out for new opportunities of development from fighting COVID-19 with the rest of the world. While staying vigilant against imported cases, we will face more enabling conditions for resuming normal state-to-state interactions. We will take strong steps to advance international cooperation for shared benefit and make new contributions to the development and prosperity of China and the rest of the world. The Foreign Ministry has taken on specific responsibilities in the national drive for moderate prosperity and poverty eradication. For the past 28 years, the ministry has been paired with Jinping and Malipo, two poverty-stricken counties in Yunnan province designated by the central government, to help them escape poverty. I'm happy to report that the two counties have recently got rid of extreme poverty. My ministry will see the job through and help the two counties consolidate their gains. At the same time, we will continue to share China's success story of eliminating poverty through development and promote international exchange and cooperation on poverty reduction. We'll work to gain more understanding and support for China's battle against poverty and contribute to the global attainment of the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals.
请继续提问，南区第3排中间 CNN。
Thank you. Stephen Jones, CNN. Mr. State Councilor,
Chinese officials, including many of your ambassadors and spokespeople, are fighting an increasingly heated war of words with their foreign counterparts on a whole range of issues, especially online. Some of them have been accused of tweeting questionable information about the pandemic. But state media here has hailed this kind of so-called wolf warrior diplomacy, telling the world, especially Americans, to get used to it. So is this kind of over-the-top rhetoric and aggressive approach the new norm for Chinese diplomacy? Has China abandoned Taoguang Yanghui? And are you concerned about growing international backlashes against this new approach from Beijing? Thank you.
美国有线电视新闻网的记者，我们现在看到中美两国，特别是外交部发言人，还有中国驻外的一些使节，以及与美国国务院官员之间的口水战越演越烈，特别是双方在推特上的言论交锋日趋激烈。在前不久，我们还看到有一些中国的驻外使节呢，在推特上发的一些关于疫情的信息是不一定真实的，引发了人们质疑的。中国的国家媒体将此称之为“战狼外交”，但在中国之外却引发了一些争议和批评的声音。有人觉得中国外交正在变得越来越咄咄逼人，越来越强硬。中国外交是否已经放弃了韬光养晦的指导原则，在变得更加强硬？
我尊重你提问题的权利。
I respect your right to ask the question, but I'm afraid you're not framing the question in the right way. One has to have a sense of right and wrong. Without it, a person cannot be trusted, and a country cannot hold its own in a family of nations. There may be all kinds of interpretations and commentary about Chinese diplomacy. As China's foreign minister, let me state for the record that China always follows an independent foreign policy for peace. No matter how the international situation may change, we will always stand for peace, development, and mutually beneficial cooperation. Stay committed to upholding world peace and promoting common development, and seek friendship and cooperation with all countries. We see it as our mission to make new and greater contributions to humanity. China's foreign policy tradition is rooted in its 5,000-year civilization. Since ancient times, China has been widely recognized as a nation of moderation. We Chinese value peace, harmony, sincerity, and integrity. We never pick a fight or bully others, but we have principles and guts. We will push back against any deliberate insult to resolutely defend our national honor and dignity. And we will refute all groundless slander with facts to resolutely uphold fairness, justice, and human conscience. The future of China's diplomacy is premised on our commitment to working with all countries to build a community with a shared future for mankind. Since we live in the same global village, countries should get along peacefully and treat each other as equals. Decisions on global affairs should be made through consultation, not because one or two countries say so. That's why China advocates for a multipolar world and greater democracy in international relations. This position is fully aligned with the direction of human progress and the shared aspiration of most countries. No matter what stage of development it reaches, China will never seek hegemony. We will always stand with the common interests of all countries, and we will always stand on the right side of history. Those who go out of their way to label China as a hegemon are precisely the ones who refuse to let go of their hegemonic status. The world is undergoing changes of a kind unseen in a century and full of instability and turbulence. Confronted by a growing set of global challenges, We hope all countries will realize that humanity is a community with a shared future. We must render each other more support and cooperation, and there should be less finger-pointing and confrontation. We call on all nations to come together and build a better world for all.
请继续提问。请南区第4排第3位女士提问，谢谢。
主持人，中央广播电视总台国广记者提问。那么最近一段时间以来呢，我们注意到美国在不断的指责世界卫生组织，然后呢，甚至声称世卫组织只为中国服务。那么请问中方是如何评价世卫组织的作用的？那同时呢，也有不少的国家提出要改革世卫组织。那想请问中国对于世卫组织的改革有何建议？谢谢。
China Radio International. The US has been bashing WHO and accusing it of serving Chinese interests. How does China see the role of WHO? Many countries are calling for WHO reform. What is China's view?
世卫组织是联合国的专门机构。
World Health Organization is a specialized UN agency with a central role in coordinating global public health matters. Dr. Tedros was elected as Director General with an overwhelming majority. He has the full confidence of the international community. The election of an African is a sign of the rising status of developing countries in international organizations. At the opening of the just concluded 73rd World Health Assembly, President Xi Jinping made a statement in which he applauded WHO's vital contributions to global COVID-19 response. His firm support for WHO was echoed by many countries. As for WHO's international standing and its place in history, I'm sure clear-eyed people the world over will reach a fair conclusion, one that will not be altered just because some country doesn't like it. Those who throw mud at WHO will only leave a stain on themselves. Since the start of the outbreak, WHO, under the leadership of Dr. Tedros, has followed science and given timely and professional advice at every turn. It has done a good job and performed its mandate. What we are seeing is this. Those countries that heeded and followed WHO advice are more successful in bringing the virus under control, while those that ignored or rejected its advice are paying a heavy price. Let me also stress this. WHO is an international body made up of 194 sovereign states. It does not serve any particular country, and it should not defer to any country that provides more funding than others. In the face of COVID-19, those attempts to attack or blackmail WHO are lacking in basic humanity and will be rejected by the international community. Nothing is more precious than life. Nothing is more important than saving lives. To support WHO is to support saving lives. I believe all countries with decency will choose to do so. As for WHO reform, actually the organization would undertake a comprehensive review and evaluation in the wake of every major epidemic. But the purpose of such review is to uphold rather than undermine multilateralism and to support rather than undercut WHO. The 73rd World Health Assembly has passed a resolution that makes this point very clear. From China's perspective, WHO reform should have three priorities. First, to improve rules and procedures so as to remove the interference of political factors, value science and professional views, and preclude politicization and stigmatization. Second, to equip WHO with more resources and enable it to better tackle global public health crises. Third, to act on the vision of a global community of health for all and scale up support and import to developing countries to bolster their health sector.
好，请继续提问。南区第3排靠左边，哈通社。
好同事，下午好。受新冠疫情影响，世界经济遭受巨大损失。请问，中方将采取哪些措施恢复同“一带一路”的国家间的合作？谢谢。
Cutting form. COVID-19 has caused great economic losses worldwide. What steps will China take to revive cooperation with Belt and Road partner countries?
哈萨克斯坦是最早同中国
Kazakhstan
开展“一带一路”合作的国家。
is the first
我也回答
country
你这个
to
问题。
began
疫情
Belt
对“一
and
带一
Road
路”的合作
cooperation with
确实造
China.
成了一些影响。
So in response to your question, let me say that indeed COVID-19 has affected Belt and Road cooperation to some extent. The impact is temporary and limited. From an overall and long-term perspective, COVID-19 will only strengthen and re-energize Belt and Road cooperation and open up new possibilities. Belt and Road cooperation is built on its real benefits to the people in partner countries. Over the past 7 years, China has signed Belt and Road cooperation documents with 138 countries. More than 2,000 projects have been launched and tens of thousands of jobs created in the partner countries. Many of the infrastructure and livelihood projects have played a vital role in COVID-19 response. For example, energy projects along the China-Pakistan economic corridor have kept running and provided 1/3 of the country's electricity. While most of the air freight services have been suspended or cancelled, the China-Europe Railway Express has seen its services and cargo volume increase by 24% and 27% between January and April, delivering nearly 8,000 tons of anti-epidemic supplies in total. The railway has truly served as a lifeline for freight transportation between Asia and Europe. Belt and Road cooperation is driven by a strong and shared commitment to common development. Over the past 7 years, China's trade in goods with Belt and Road partner countries has exceeded $7.8 trillion, and direct Chinese investment in the partner countries has topped $110 billion. Despite the impact of COVID-19, Chinese investment in Belt and Road partner countries increased by 11.7% in the first quarter, and trade with them was up by 3.2%. Steady progress is being made in the China-Laos Railway, the Budapest-Belgrade Railway, the dual-fuel power plant in Cambodia, and the CBD project in the new administrative capital of Egypt. Construction has resumed for a number of projects suspended due to COVID-19. All this will generate strong impetus for the host country's efforts to beat the virus and revitalize the economy. The future of the Belt and Road Initiative lies in expanding the cooperation to new areas. Emerging from COVID-19, countries will have a stronger need to grow the economy and improve lives, as well as a surging demand for public health cooperation. China will work with the partner countries to advance health cooperation along the Belt and Road and convene a high-level video conference to better protect people's health and safety in the partner countries. China will also advance the digital Belt and Road to create new engines of growth for the partner countries and new impetus for global recovery. In sum, China is as confident and determined as ever to promote Belt and Road cooperation. We will continue to follow the principle of consultation and cooperation for shared benefits and support open, green, and clean development. By aiming for high standard, people-centered, and sustainable progress, we will make the Belt and Road a model of development, cooperation, and health for all
请
involved.
继续提问。请北区第3排第4位女士提问，谢谢。
深圳卫视执新闻客户端记者提问：今年中国与东盟国家在10+1、10+3蓝莓合作框架下互动密切，成果也很显著。我想请问王国伟，中方对于推动与东盟国家关系的进一步发展有何规划和期待？谢谢。
Shenzhen TV. This year, China and other countries have had close and fruitful interactions in the context of 10+1, 10+3, and Lancang-Mekong cooperation. What are China's plans and expectations for growing its relations with ASEAN?
If you look at the course of China-ASEAN relations over the years, you can see that from the Asian financial crisis to the global financial crisis, each crisis has led to closer ties and stronger cooperation between the two sides. This is a testament to the extraordinary friendship and profound trust between us. I remember that during the SARS outbreak in 2003, the first multilateral conference was held between the leaders of China and ASEAN countries. It is also the case this time with COVID-19. On 20th February, I joined my ASEAN colleagues for a special foreign ministers meeting on COVID-19. We held hands, stood shoulder to shoulder, and chanted, "Stay strong, Wuhan! Stay strong, China! Stay strong, ASEAN!" To this day, that heartwarming moment still inspires the people in China and ASEAN. Thanks to joint efforts, China-ASEAN cooperation continued to grow despite COVID-19. In the first quarter of this year, our trade in goods grew 6.1% to exceed $140 billion, making ASEAN China's biggest trading partner. This is a vote of confidence in each other's development prospects, even though we are confronted by a common challenge. Some ASEAN foreign ministers put it very well: that which does not kill us can only make us stronger. And we are stronger in the broken places. Indeed, just as rainbow appears after a storm, after COVID-19, China will continue to view ASEAN as a high priority in its neighborhood diplomacy and support ASEAN's centrality in East Asian cooperation. We will work with ASEAN countries in the spirit of mutual trust, mutual accommodation, mutual benefit, and mutual assistance to take our relationship to the next level. We will accelerate cooperation to resume economic activities and make up for the losses caused by the virus. We will seek stronger complementarity between the Belt and Road Initiative and ASEAN development plans and expand cooperation in emerging sectors such as smart cities, artificial intelligence, and e-commerce. We will uphold the multilateral trading regime and work together the signing of the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement within this year to build a more integrated regional economy. We propose a regional liaison mechanism for public health emergencies and reserve centers for epidemic control provision, which may help us enhance public health cooperation and crisis response capacity. We will make the most of the China-ASEAN Young Leaders Scholarship and other flagship programs to promote people-to-people exchanges. We will also step up cooperation on the blue economy and ecological and environmental protection to drive sustainable development and benefit people in our region. Next year will mark the 30th anniversary of China-ASEAN dialogue relations, another milestone for both sides. We're convinced that with the maturity and confidence this relationship has gained in the past 3 decades, China and ASEAN will take more solid steps forward in forging a closer community with a shared future.
北区第1排靠中间走廊，韩联社。
谢谢主持人。韩国联合通讯社记者提问：半岛对于东北亚安全稳定至关重要。您认为未来半岛局势应该朝着何种方向发展？还有最近美国总统特朗普也表达了同朝鲜最高领导人金正恩对话的意愿。在此背景下，朝美对话应该如何发展？还有在此过程中，中方将会发挥何种作用？谢谢。
Yonhap News. The Korean Peninsula is vital for security and stability in Northeast Asia. In what direction do you think the situation should be going? President Trump recently said he may talk to Chairman Kim Jong-un. How should DPRK-US dialogue proceed? What role would China play?
韩国朋友每年都提半岛的问题，就是你们对这个问题啊。
Our friends from the ROK always ask a question about the Korean Peninsula. It shows your keen interest. In our view, continued communication and dialogue between the DPRK and the US is important for resolving their differences and a key stepping stone to settling issues on the Korean Peninsula. As China has often counseled, having a dialogue is better than having nothing at all. We would like to see continuous interaction between DPRK and US leaders. We hope the two sides will resume meaningful dialogue and engagement as soon as possible. That said, building mutual trust and breaking the impasse on the peninsula would require more concrete steps. To achieve a genuine settlement, they need to not only talk the talk, but also walk the walk. We have seen some positive steps taken by the DPRK in the last few years toward de-escalation and denuclearization. Regrettably, these steps have not been reciprocated in a substantive way by the US side. This is the main reason for the ongoing stalemate in DPRK-US dialogue. More uncertainties have emerged surrounding the nuclear issue on the peninsula. China and Russia have long introduced a draft resolution at the UN Security Council for a political settlement of Korean Peninsula issues and repeatedly called on the Council to discuss rolling back sanctions as stipulated in relevant resolutions. This would help ease economic and livelihood hardships in the DPRK and create conditions for the political settlement of the peninsula issues. We call on the US and other parties to take this proposal into serious consideration and stop squandering the hard-won outcomes of previous dialogue. The general outline of settling the nuclear issue is clear. The parties must follow a dual-track approach of pursuing both denuclearization and a peace mechanism, and work out a roadmap for phased and synchronized actions. The rare opportunity for solving the issue should not be missed again.
请南区第二排第二位女士提问，谢谢。
谢谢主持人。我是澎湃新闻的记者。请问，近期台湾问题在中美关系中更加突出，美台实质性关系有所提升。请问王国伟，中方是否担心涉台问题会对中美关系产生进一步的负面影响？谢谢。
The paper, Taiwan has become a more prominent issue in China-US relations recently. As the US and Taiwan upgrade their substantive ties, is China concerned that Taiwan-related issues may add further strain to China-US relations?
说到台湾问题，我首先要讲的是2300万。
On this question, let me first say that the 23 million people in Taiwan are our fellow compatriots. We have closely followed the COVID-19 developments in Taiwan, and we send our best wishes for the health of our Taiwan compatriots. Since the beginning of the COVID-19 situation, we have taken good care of our Taiwan compatriots on the Chinese mainland and given whatever help we can to those staying abroad. We will continue to do our utmost to meet Taiwan compatriots' needs in fighting COVID-19. The Chinese government and WHO have, in keeping with the One China principle, made proper arrangements for Taiwan to participate in global health affairs as a region of China. The Taiwan region has unimpeded access to information and expert-level exchange and cooperation with WHO and its member states. There has never been any technical barrier, nor is Taiwan a so-called loophole in the global fight against coronavirus. It's the Taiwan authorities who have turned a blind eye to their people's well-being, turning its back on the 1992 consensus that the two sides of the Taiwan Strait belong to one and the same China. They have shut the door to cross-strait consultation on Taiwan's external activities. The Taiwan question is China's internal affair, the One China principle is an international consensus, and the political foundation of China's diplomatic relations with other countries. We firmly oppose official interactions with the Taiwan authorities disguised as health cooperation. We firmly oppose Taiwan's pursuit of so-called international space in violation of the One China principle. We firmly oppose any external support and encouragement to those elements who take advantage of COVID-19 to seek Taiwan independence. Reunification of the two sides of the Taiwan Strait is a trend of history. No individual or force can stop it from happening. We urge the US side to fully appreciate the great sensitivity of the Taiwan question and abide by the One China principle and the 3 Sino-US communiques. We advise the US side to ditch its illusions and political calculations. We remind the US side not to make any attempt to challenge China's red line or misjudge 1.4 billion people's strong resolve to defend national unification.
请继续提问。南区第1排中间，新加坡海峡时报。
王国维好，我是新加坡海峡时报提问，请允许我用英语来提问。Some analysts have pointed out that China is taking advantage of Southeast Asia and other countries' preoccupation and distraction with fighting the pandemic by increasing activity in the South China Sea to advance its strategic aims there. What's your view on this, and have recent activities in the South China Sea impacted talks on the Code of Conduct? 谢谢。
新加坡海峡时报，一些专家指出，近2个月以来，当东南亚国家和美国疲于应对新冠疫情之时，中国则在加大在南海的活动，以期实现其战略目标。您对此如何评价？近期中国在南海的活动是否会影响南海行为准则磋商？
中国疫情在南海扩大存在这种说法完全
There is
无稽之谈。
nothing to support the claim that China is using COVID-19 to expand its presence in the South China Sea. On the contrary, China has worked with ASEAN countries in recent months to beat the virus. We have assisted and supported each other, which has helped to strengthen mutual trust. Even as we speak, ships and planes carrying critical supplies are sailing in and flying over the South China Sea, a body of water that's witnessing mutual assistance and cooperation between China and ASEAN. In sharp contrast to this, a few non-regional countries are flexing their muscles by sending military aircraft and vessels to the South China Sea. Their ill-intentioned and despicable moves are meant to sow discord between China and ASEAN countries and undermine the hard-won stability in the region. In recent years, the situation in the South China Sea has stabilized due to the joint efforts of China and ASEAN countries. A lot of progress has been made in our cooperation on maritime search and rescue, as well as marine conservation and research. The COC consultations are proceeding smoothly and speedily, with the second reading of the text already begun. China and ASEAN countries have agreed to conclude the COC at an early date, a goal we are confident and determined to achieve. No external interference can distract or sabotage our efforts. COVID-19 has put the consultations on a break, but China is coordinating closely with ASEAN countries to pick up where we left off as soon as possible. We will also explore new ways of maritime cooperation to safeguard peace and stability and promote development and prosperity in the South China Sea region.
北区第5排第2位男士，谢谢。
谢谢主持人，王国伟您好，我是中国新闻社记者。我们注意到疫情发生以来，中国外交部和驻外使领馆为了帮助海外中国同胞解决困难，做了大量的工作。 请问您能否谈一谈相关的体会和感受？谢谢。
China News Service. Since COVID-19 emerged, the Chinese Foreign Ministry and its missions abroad have put in a lot of efforts to help Chinese nationals encountering difficulties in their host countries. Could you share more on that?
疫情发生以来啊。
Since the onset of COVID-19, the well-being of overseas Chinese nationals has been close to the heart of the motherland. General Secretary Xi Jinping stressed on more than one occasion the need to ensure their safety and health. Acting on this, the Foreign Ministry and Chinese diplomatic and consular missions all over the world swiftly mobilized resources and conveyed to every Chinese national abroad the care and solicitude of the CPC and the government. An unprecedented operation was launched to provide consular protection to Chinese nationals wherever they are in the world. We reached out to fellow Chinese all around the world to help address their difficulties. We invited leading Chinese experts to share COVID-19 prevention tips with overseas students via video link. We coordinated with other agencies to send over 20 medical expert teams to as many countries to provide guidance for Chinese citizens. We helped Chinese nationals get in touch with local health providers and with experts in China, the latter via telemedicine platforms. We paid particular attention to the well-being of Chinese students, and by one way or another, managed to deliver over 1 million health kits, which are symbols of the motherland's care, to those who need them. The Foreign Ministry's consular hotline 12308, which runs 24/7, handled over 200,000 calls in March and April alone, which means more than 3,600 calls per day. We take every call seriously and make sure that the caller's concerns are noted down and addressed in each case. In this way, we keep the channels open for every overseas Chinese in need of help. Shortly after COVID-19 started, we chartered planes to bring back citizens stranded abroad. As infections spiked in some countries, we arranged ad hoc flights for Chinese nationals who had an urgent need to return. Serving the people is the abiding mission of Chinese diplomats. The past few months have been an extraordinary time for us. Our entire diplomatic service, from heads of mission to everyone in our embassies and consulates, have acted with a strong sense of responsibility and dedication to their job. They have braved the risk of infection and readily made sacrifices. Finally, a word to our fellow Chinese abroad. Whatever happens, the motherland is always behind you, and Chinese diplomatic and consular missions will always be there for you.
继续提问。南区第4排，靠近中间走廊8通社。
Good afternoon. I'm from Associated Press of Pakistan. The US and Taliban signed a peace deal in February this year. What are China's views about the current peace and reconciliation process in Afghanistan, and what role China will play for peace and reconstruction in Afghanistan? Thank you.
巴基斯坦联合通讯社，美国和阿富汗塔利班签署和平协议之后，中方如何看待当前的阿富汗局势？将在阿富汗和平和解与重建进程中发挥怎样的作用？
这位朋友来自巴基斯坦，我首先想说的是。
My friend, you're from Pakistan, so I wish to begin by saying that a couple of days ago, a passenger aircraft crashed tragically in Pakistan, resulting in the loss of lives. So I wish to use this opportunity to express our most sincere sympathies. You asked about the issue of Afghanistan. Well, this country has long been regarded as the heart of Asia. it has a significant impact on regional peace and stability. The fast-moving events in recent months have taken the country closer to peace than ever. But the road ahead is far from smooth. As we see it, 5 things cry out to be done. First, consolidating government unity. We welcome President Ghani and Dr. Abdullah's agreement to form a unity government and look forward to its normal functioning as early as possible. Second, establishing the framework for talks. We call on all factions to immediately cease hostilities and reach an early agreement on the arrangements for intra-Afghan talks on the country's future political architecture. Third, withdrawing foreign troops in an appropriate and orderly manner. The U.S. troop withdrawal must proceed in a responsible way without undermining the interests of Afghanistan or other countries in the region. Fourth, combating terrorism. All parties need to stay focused on this to prevent a regrouping of terrorist forces. Fifth, securing external support. Afghanistan's relations with Pakistan and other countries need to be further improved. More needs to be done to mobilize greater international support and collaboration for the peace and reconciliation process. In China's view, the process must be guided by 3 principles. First, it should be Afghan-led. It must be left to the people of Afghanistan to decide their country's future and grasp the nation's destiny in their hands. Second, it should prioritize peace. No party may resort to the use of force to advance their interests. Third, the process should be broadly representative and inclusive to set the stage for a more inclusive, united, and energetic Afghanistan. The Afghan people are entitled to a better life free from the shadow of war. As close neighbors and brothers, the Chinese people have stood shoulder to shoulder with them. Going forward, China will continue to play an active and constructive role in promoting intra-Afghan talks, restoring peace and stability, and advancing economic recovery in Afghanistan and facilitating its participation in regional cooperation.
The last question.
请南区第4排第4位男士提问，谢谢。
谢谢主持人，我是湖北广播电视台融媒体新闻中心的记者。因为疫情，武汉在全世界变得很有名。我们知道外交部为替武汉证明打赢武汉保卫战付出了巨大的努力。我的问题是，随着湖北走出疫情的阴影，外交部还将为湖北的发展和开放提供哪些帮助？谢谢。
Hubei TV, Wuhan has become known to many people in the world because of COVID-19. The Foreign Ministry has done a lot to clear its name and help the city beat the virus. As Hubei comes out of the shadow of COVID-19, what will the Foreign Ministry do to assist its development and opening up?
我觉得最后这个问题由我们的湖北的
Well, I think it's very fitting that the final question comes from a correspondent from Hubei province. Under the strong leadership of the CPC Central Committee, with Comrade Xi Jinping at its core, a decisive victory has been won in the battle to safeguard Hubei province and its capital Wuhan. In this extraordinary battle, the people of Hubei and Wuhan have made enormous efforts and sacrifices, as well as a significant contribution to COVID-19 response in and beyond China. On behalf of the nation's diplomatic service, I wish to pay high tribute to the heroic people of Hubei and Wuhan. We in the diplomatic service have contributed our share to the battle of safeguarding Hubei and Wuhan. Under the direction of the Central Guidance Group, the Foreign Ministry sent a team to Wuhan to help mobilize anti-epidemic resources and coordinate the distribution of international donations. Over 100 members of the diplomatic service who were visiting family in Hubei joined the local response. Upon learning that Many overseas Chinese citizens from Hubei concerned about their families in the province were unable to return home because of flight cancellations. The Foreign Ministry instructed Chinese missions abroad to reach out to them and arrange charter flights to bring them home. By now, the economic and social order in Hubei has largely returned to normal. We, at the Foreign Ministry, will do whatever we can to boost its development in the post-COVID-19 era. We're exploring a fast track for essential international personnel to return to work in foreign-related enterprises in Hubei and Wuhan. Depending on how the pandemic evolves, we will create opportunities for Hubei to revive exchanges and cooperation with the outside world. When the time is right, the Foreign Ministry would love to hold a special promotion event to showcase the new Hubei and Wuhan that have emerged stronger from COVID-19. This will be a major opportunity for the world to know more about Hubei and give more support to Wuhan. Thank you all.
媒体朋友们，今天的记者会到此结束。谢谢王毅国务委员，谢谢大家。
Thank you, Mr. Wang Yi, and thank you
to
everyone.
Thank you.
And thank you, everyone.